I was a travel blogger who loved to visit exotic and mysterious places. I had heard many stories about the ancient ruins of Bangar, a town in Rajasthan, India, which was said to be the most haunted place in the country. Some said it was cursed by a wizard, others said it was invaded by a ruthless king. I wanted to find out the truth for myself, so I decided to visit the place with my camera and recorder. I arrived at Bangar on a sunny afternoon after a long and bumpy ride from Jaipur. The place looked deserted and eerie, with crumbling walls and temples, overgrown by vegetation and wildlife. I saw a sign that warned visitors not to enter the premises after sunset, as it was forbidden by the Archaeological Survey of India. I ignored it and proceeded to explore the site, hoping to capture some paranormal activity on my devices. I wandered around the ruins, admiring the architecture and history of the place. I saw the palace, the market, the temples, the gardens, and the fort. I took pictures and videos of everything, narrating my observations and impressions. I felt a sense of awe and wonder, but also a hint of dread and danger. I felt like I was not alone, like someone or something was watching me. I decided to enter the palace, which was the largest and most impressive structure in the site. It had 4 levels, each with different rooms and halls. I climbed up the stairs to the top floor, where I found a large chamber with a balcony. I walked towards the balcony, where I had a panoramic view of the entire site. I saw the sun setting behind the hills, casting a red glow over the ruins. I felt a chill in the air and a sudden silence. I realized that it was getting dark and that I had to leave soon. I turned around and walked back to the chamber, where I saw something that made me freeze in horror. It was a skeleton, dressed in royal clothes, sitting on a throne. It had a crown on its head, a sword on its lap, and a necklace around its neck. It looked like it had been there for centuries, untouched and undisturbed. It looked at me with hollow eyes and smiled with rotten teeth. It spoke to me in a raspy and ancient voice. "Welcome, traveler. You have come to the haunted house of Bangar, where no one dares to stay after dark. You have come to meet me, the king of this land, the lord of this palace, the master of this curse. You have come to die." I was speechless and terrified. I tried to run, but I felt a force that held me in place. I tried to scream, but I felt a hand that covered my mouth. I tried to fight, but I felt a blade that pierced my heart. I fell to the ground, bleeding and dying. I saw the skeleton rise from the throne and walk towards me. It bent down and whispered in my ear, "You are not the first, and you will not be the last. You are one of the many who have fallen victim to my wrath. You are one of the many who have become part of my collection. You are one of the many who have joined me in this eternal hell." It took my camera and recorder and placed them on a shelf next to dozens of other devices. It took my necklace and added it to its own. It took my soul and trapped it in its eyes. I was dead, but I was not gone. I was still there in that chamber, in that palace, in that site. I was still there with that skeleton, with that king, with that curse. I was still there, and I would never leave. I tried to run, but I felt a force that held me in place. I tried to scream, but I felt a hand that covered my mouth. I tried to fight, but I felt a blade that pierced my heart. I fell to the ground, bleeding and dying. I saw the skeleton rise from the throne and walk towards me. It bent down and whispered in my ear, "You are not the first, and you will not be the last. You are one of the many who have fallen victim to my wrath. You are one of the many who have become part of my collection. You are one of the many who have joined me in this eternal hell." It took my camera and recorder and placed them on a shelf next to dozens of other devices. It took my necklace and added it to its own. It took my soul and trapped it in its eyes. But it was not the end. It was not the end for me. I still had a chance, a hope, a miracle. I still had a voice, a will, a power. I still had a friend, a savior, a hero. It was Raju, the driver, who had brought me here. He had seen the sign and he had followed me. He had heard the explosion and he had rushed in. He had seen the skeleton and he had fought it. He threw a stone at its head and it shattered. He grabbed a torch from the wall and he set it on fire. He cut the necklace from its neck and he threw it away. He freed my soul, and he gave it back to me. He lifted me up, and he carried me out. He drove me away, and he took me to a hospital. He saved my life, and he became my friend. The next day, I saw the news on TV. The palace had collapsed, and the police had found no traces of anyone inside. They said it was an accident, caused by faulty wiring or a gas leak. They said there was no evidence of any foul play or paranormal activity. They said the case was closed. But I knew better. I knew the truth. I knew that the palace was haunted, and that I had met the king of the curse. I knew that he had tried to kill me, and that Raju had saved me. I knew that he was gone, and that I was free. I also knew that I had survived, and that I was lucky. I knew that I had a second chance, and that I should make the most of it. I knew that I had a friend, and that he cared about me. I knew that I had a story, and that I should share it. I still have nightmares about that night sometimes. I still hear the voice, the whisper, the cry. I still wonder if he is really gone, or if he is still there, waiting for me. I was a curious and adventurous teenager who loved to explore new places. I had heard many stories about the old house at the end of the road, which was said to be haunted by the spirits of its former owners. Some said they had died in a fire, others said they had been murdered by a jealous relative. I wanted to find out the truth for myself, so I decided to sneak into the house one night with my friends. We arrived at the house around midnight, armed with flashlights and cameras. The house looked eerie and dilapidated, with broken windows and peeling paint. We climbed over the fence and entered through the back door, which was unlocked. The inside was dark and dusty, with cobwebs and rats everywhere. We split up to explore different rooms, hoping to find some clues or evidence of the paranormal. I went upstairs to the master bedroom, where I heard a faint whispering sound. I followed it to a closet, where I found a small wooden box. I opened it and saw a bunch of old photos, letters, and newspaper clippings. They were all about the family that used to live here, the Singhs. They seemed to be a happy and wealthy couple, with 2 children, a boy and a girl. They had moved here from Kolkata in the 1970s, hoping to start a new life in the countryside. But something went wrong. According to the clippings, the husband, Rajiv, was accused of embezzling money from his company and was arrested. His wife, Priya, was devastated and tried to prove his innocence, but failed. She became depressed and isolated herself from the world. She stopped taking care of the children, who were neglected and abused. One day, she snapped and killed them both with a kitchen knife. Then she set the house on fire and hanged herself from the ceiling fan. The photos showed the gruesome aftermath of the tragedy. The charred bodies of the children, the bloody knife, the noose around Priya's neck. I felt a chill run down my spine as I looked at them. I felt sorry for them, but also angry. How could they do this to themselves and their kids? How could they haunt this place and scare innocent people like us? I decided to take the box with me as a proof of what I had found. I thought maybe I could expose the truth and free the spirits from their torment. I put the box in my backpack and left the closet. As I walked towards the door, I heard a loud thud behind me. I turned around and saw the closet door slam shut. I tried to open it, but it was locked. I heard the whispering sound again, but this time it was louder and clearer. "Who are you? Why are you here? What have you done with our things?" It was the voice of Priya, the mother. She sounded angry and menacing. I felt a surge of fear and panic. I shouted for help, hoping that my friends would hear me, but they didn't. They were too far away, or maybe they had already left. I was alone in this room, with this ghost. She continued to speak, but her voice changed. It became softer and sadder. "Please don't hurt us. We are sorry for what we did. We were not ourselves. We were possessed by evil. Please forgive us. Please let us go." She sounded like she was crying. I felt a pang of pity and guilt. Maybe she was telling the truth. Maybe she was not a monster, but a victim. Maybe she deserved a second chance. I tried to calm her down and talk to her. Listen, I don't want to hurt you. I just want to help you. I have your things here, in this box. They are yours, not mine. I will give them back to you if you let me go. Please, just open the door and let me out. I heard a sigh of relief and a click of the lock. The closet door opened slowly. I saw a faint figure of a woman, dressed in a white sari. She had long black hair and a pale face. She looked at me with a sad smile. Thank you, child. You are very kind. You have done us a great favor. You have freed us from our curse. We can finally rest in peace.
Hi guys.
She reached out her hand and took the box from me. She held it close to her chest and nodded. Go now, and don't look back. This house is no longer haunted. It is empty and silent. You have nothing to fear. Go, and be happy. She turned around and walked back into the closet. I saw a flash of light and heard a loud bang. The closet door slammed shut again. I ran out of the room and down the stairs. I didn't stop until I reached the gate. I looked back at the house and saw nothing but darkness and silence. I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. I had escaped, but I had also lost something. I had lost a part of myself, a part that was curious and adventurous. I had seen too much, and I could never forget it. I ran out of the room and down the stairs. I didn't stop until I reached the gate. I looked back at the house and saw nothing but darkness and silence. I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. I had escaped, but I had also lost something. I had lost a part of myself, a part that was curious and adventurous. I had seen too much, and I could never forget it. But I was not alone. As I turned to leave, I saw a car parked outside the fence. It was my friends who had come back for me. They had heard the explosion and the screams, and they had called the police. They were worried sick about me, and they hugged me and asked me if I was okay. I told them I was fine, but I didn't tell them what happened. I didn't want to scare them or make them think I was crazy. I just said I had found some old stuff and it had caught fire. They believed me, and they drove me home. The next day, I saw the news on TV. The house had burned down completely, and the police had found no traces of anyone inside. They said it was an accident caused by faulty wiring or a gas leak. They said there was no evidence of any foul play or paranormal activity. They said the case was closed. But I knew better. I knew the truth. I knew that the house was haunted, and that I had freed the spirits from their curse. I knew that they had thanked me, and that they had let me go. I knew that they were at peace, and that they would never bother anyone again.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
I also knew that I had survived, and that I was lucky. I knew that I had a second chance, and that I should make the most of it. I knew that I had friends, and that they cared about me. I knew that I had a life, and that I should live it. I still have nightmares about that night sometimes. I still hear the voices, the whispers, the cries. I still wonder if I did the right thing, or if I made a mistake. I still wonder if they are really gone, or if they are still there waiting for me. But I don't let it stop me. I don't let it define me. I don't let it haunt me. I am a survivor.